We've heard Jeff Eisenberg's name mentioned a couple of times, and there's a reason for that. He is, as much as anyone, instrumental in the original organization of the Legends of Hockey. He and Dick Boucher and Francois Elise were really, in the formative days of this association, the core. And without them, this would never have started. At that time, he was president of the Manchester Monarchs and was looking for a connection between the Monarchs and the community, and he certainly found one and drove our early days. He owns EVR Advertising, and we have not forgotten what a great contribution he made to this organization. Please welcome Jeff Eisenberg. Jeff.
If Lou can step onto this stage without all those steps, I can do it too. You're an inspiration. You're a great American. So I was asked to give a little bit of the background about how this all happened, how the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey started 15 years ago. It's hard to believe. So I'm going to do that in a kind of a brief little journey here, and I'll give you a little bit of the history. How did a guy from Tennessee, I'm probably the only one in this organization who never played the game, because I grew up in Tennessee. Hardly knew what offsides or icing was. I was in baseball. Actually, when I was 12 years old, I was the clubhouse boy for the Eastern League Memphis Blues. Used to polish the shoes. I noticed one day they would always have me run to go get hot dogs, and Clubby, go get me your hot dogs. So I decided to make ham sandwiches in between the double headers, and I was an entrepreneur at an early age. My cost of goods were very low because my mom bought all the bread and ham. My only problem was I was the only kid in the neighborhood who had a accounts receivables problem, because they would always say, "I'll catch you later." And so I gave that up and went back to making the runs for the hot dogs. But I ended up being in baseball for a long time. Philadelphia Phillies, Milwaukee Brewers, and I'll never forget when I had this headhunter that I knew called me and asked me whether I wanted to talk about a position of Vice President of Sales and Marketing for the Buffalo Sabres. So I said I had no idea anything about hockey. All my baseball friends were saying, "You're going to the dark side." I really didn't intend to take the job, but I went and got the offer, and I made that move. So there I was in Buffalo with some of the great names of the game. Pat LaFontaine, who I got to know, was a great guy. Dominic Hasek. I'm learning this game. Ended up in Portland, and then the Kings hired me to start the Monarchs. So I arrived, and I'm not sure you're aware that they had been trying to build this arena for like 30 years. And finally they had the big breakthrough, and then I get to come in and, okay, I'll take over from here. Pretty good deal. We're going to have some fun. So it was an amazing, amazing experience. It was the perfect storm, because Manchester was a town, and the state of New Hampshire wanted their own thing. We love our Boston sports, but we wanted our own thing. So I stepped into this perfect storm, and things went crazy. I had 14 months to get ready. I called a gathering of 2 people a speaking engagement, and I had lots of them. Anybody who invited me, I was prepared to go. One of my first employees, Matt Welch, who is still, I guess, the only original left. God bless him. So Matt has been there since the beginning, and it was an amazing story. The coaches along the way, Bruce Boudreau, who I got to know very well, he used to come and he'd stop by my office, and I'd have a whiteboard, and I'd say, "Explain the neutral zone trap to me again, please." So I got to learn from some of the greats. Mark Morris I was close to. One word for great people and great coaches like this, and coaches in general: neurotic. They are the craziest, most wound up people you'll ever get to know. But I spent a lot of time with them. Some of the players along the way: Mike Camilleri, you'll know these names, Dustin Brown, Matt Molson, Brian Boyle, Jonathan Quick, Alec Martinez, just these great players that came through. And it was just an amazing love affair that we had with the city. The characters that came through, that's my code for tough guys, fighters. We call them characters. so that people don't insult our sport. But the Ryan Flynn's of the world and the Joe Rillias, the Kip Brennan of the world, who happened to come back as a Hershey Bear a couple of years later and managed to get into a fight with a fan in the gap between the penalty box and the board. There was that much. That's all it takes for Kip Brennan to have a fight with you. And he had a few choice words to say to someone. And Maddie, you remember this one? And I can't mention the words that were taken, but the fan actually got a good connection in through the gap, knocked Kip Brennan's helmet off. We went down to sign the guy up. We could use you. But these guys they're just wound. That's the way they are. They're always great guys off the ice. Our current coaching staff, SEALs in the back, Rich Seeley, Jeff Giuliani along the way, and all the guys behind the scenes. And most importantly, the fans and the supporters. So that's what I noticed. I got here, and I'm still 5 years into hockey. I'm still kind of the outsider guy, so I'm going to make sure I get connected and do the right things, right? And I knew that it was a big deal because when I announced the first coach of the Monarchs, Bruce Boudreau, I did it. Imagine this, I did it at Tri-Town in Hooksett. Immediately got a call from an alderman and said, "What the heck are you doing? Making an announcement, this big an announcement for the Manchester Monarchs in Hooksett." So I got the feeling that, okay, they take this very personally. They're very plugged in. I'm going to make sure that we do the right thing. So I had this meeting with Dick Boucher and Francois Solis. Dick was working for ACA, which is over in the Franco-American Center. I said, okay, sounds like pretty good people to get to know, the Franco-American community. I'll do that. And we started talking about forming this organization, never knowing that whether it would work out, how it would work out. The first board that we put together, would they show up, would they do anything, raising money, having the first ceremony. And wow, did it ever take off. 2 people here today besides Dick who are on the board from the very beginning. Pierre Belanger, I say it the French way. Pierre, where are you? In the back there, and Roland Martin. So we got like originals. And then some of the other people, Jim Hayes came on 2 years later and became the immovable force that you know him to be. He was amazing in what he's done. Bob has been so involved all along the way. Bob Vachon, Dick Roy, so many people that have been instrumental in being such a big part of this organization. I want to thank all the sponsors for making it possible to be here today. St. Paul's School, Hawks Hockey of St. Anselm College, and Amoskeag Beverages, New Hampshire Distributors, and the New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association. So let's give a round of applause to all those great supporters. So it's been an amazing run, and the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey have been a real special experience for me for the 7 or 8 years that I was on the board. It's a great honor to be inducted, to be a part of this fantastic group. Many of you are here today. I did want to say one thing as I wrap, because I congratulate all the inductees, but especially Jeff Giuliano, since he was one of the guys that came along the way and was a very special part of our team. And there's a few things that you should know that I'd like to pass along with you about Jeff. He's and his family with him over here. Jeff is one of the more frugal guys that you would know. I think he was raised by good parents who made him appreciate working for a living, appreciate what he had in life. He went out on his first road trip, and you always get excited to talk about how'd it go, and how'd it go, Jeff? He made it big time. He's making pretty good money, right? And he gets back, and you want to hear about all the great things that happened, and how'd it go? He says, yeah, we're staying in all these fantastic hotels. It's amazing. It's 4 seasons, and it's like incredible. And I said, really? He says, are you enjoying it? He says, yeah, it's really great, but you're not going to believe it. It's like the hamburgers are like $13. I said, Jeff, you can afford it, man. But I don't know if you know that. You can't be in a room with Jeff Giuliano and not throw out a couple of nose jokes. The reason his nose is as considerable as it is because air is free. So it's like, that's what he says. And I do want to say hi to his parents, Joe and Nina. Nini. Wait. Nini. Not a name you run into every day. So I was very blessed to be with you guys when you went to Montreal for Jeff's first game. We had a busload of sponsors, and we had so much fun on these road trips with the sponsors. And Joe and Nini thought they were going to have fun, go a pretty normal trip to a hockey game, probably one of the millions you've seen in your life. And I think as they were getting on the bus and they saw cooler after cooler getting on board, they started kind of wondering what was going on. About 20 miles in, they said, "Oh my God, what have we gotten into?" A crazy trip. But I was there when I think the tears welled up in your eyes when you saw Jeff hit the ice for the first time. And speaking of Jeff's nose. It's like it's actually hereditary. I don't know if you know, it runs in the family. And you wouldn't know it by looking at Nini because she got a nose job. And Jeff said, "Why couldn't you have done that before you had me?" I mean, he's not the kind of the guy that puts on airs. He just says what he feels right when it comes out. But he was a battler. That's what he was a guy who made it through hard work. Clearly not, the excellent skill, obviously. So it was the hard work and the battling. And he was a wonderful person to be around. And it was a real testament to him, to the New Hampshire hockey, this kid who grows up in Nashua, makes it to the East Coast Hockey League. All of a sudden he's up with us and probably thinks, wow, this is fantastic. All of a sudden he's up with the LA Kings, had a great career, and he's always been a pleasure to be around. And I congratulate him for his induction today into the New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame. So with that, I will pass it back to Bob for the remainder of the program. I appreciate everything all of you have done for the great game of hockey and allowing me to be a part of it in this great state. Thank you.